What's up, gamers? I'm Jay. Some of you may know me from streaming or esports as Jay Ching, but this is a new project that I'm working on called Behind the Sound. Behind the Sound is a hip-hop focused music show that will largely be dedicated to like in-depth analysis of lyrical content, rhyme scheme, and video content. Like I've said on Twitter, which if you haven't followed me there, you can follow me right here. Like I've said on Twitter, this is much of a way for me to unpack some of the things in my life that I haven't unpacked, as much as it is a way for me to do just at-large music analysis. This is something I've been wanting to do literally my entire life, so I hope it's something that people can enjoy and that we can kind of make a meaningful thing in this troubling world for as long as possible. I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you in the video. All right, guys, before we jump into the video, I kind of want to let you guys know how this thing's going to go. For the most part, we will take verses and choruses as they come, and we will revisit them at the end. There will be times where I stop in the middle of a verse or stop in the middle of a chorus to kind of make you guys aware of a reference that's happening. But most of the time, I'm going to try to stay away from it just so I don't cut off flow or cut off concepts or do anything to mess up, you know, an overarching theme. And really, if you guys want that to change, you just kind of have to let me know. And I think the only way for you to let me know on YouTube is comments. So if you want to let me know, you got to comment and let me know. Otherwise, we can jump right into the video. I love this song. Love this video. So good. Okay, so this is actually, I missed about a little bit. This wasn't the first time that this photo has ever been referenced within hip-hop, and it was actually one of the ones that like made me super excited when I saw it, because I had missed it when I first watched the video. I'd missed it. This is actually in reference to a photo Boy with Junebug, which was actually referenced for the first time in hip-hop, the first time to my knowledge in hip-hop, by Kendrick Lamar in his video Element for Element, which was on his Damn album. Kendrick paid homage to the late Gordon Parks, a civil rights photographer who helped document that whole civil rights movement in the 1950s and 60s. He did so with this scene.
So ain't nobody praying for me, I'm on your head.
Which is why I think Venus is paying his respects to both Parks and Kendrick by including the shot. I think it can be taken even a step further to say that Venus's acknowledgments of Park and or Kendrick can be just another way of exemplifying the symbolic buried hatchet between Top Dog and Dreamville, a feud that kind of stuck with hip-hop for a few years. Keep rolling.
Yeah. That nigga back from the day. I don't know. Nigga almost lost his head. Try to run, try to fly, try to flow. Channels on top of the dress. Baby, you down to play us. Gotta watch how you address us. Playing no games, no dress. I got an idea. Let's shoot wild night in my hood. Y'all getting right here. Got me a war nominated before me. Yeah. Let the AK spray straight before me. As a minor law talking to the motherfucker ordinance, I make sacrifices.
Okay, so for Venus's first verse, I think at the very beginning, I think, you know, him acknowledging his absence in the rap game was kind of significant. If you guys remember back to when Sacrifices was released, it was released in like July 2019. And prior to that, EARTHGANG hadn't released literally anything, I don't think, since like September 2018, which would mark about 10 months since the duo had been missing from the scene. So not only do we get some acknowledgement of their absence, but we also get some insight to the demons that Johnny Venus and or EARTHGANG may have been facing during this time of kind of rapid success, specifically within the third and fourth lines of this verse. And on the back end of the verse, we see a reference to Nick Cannon's TV show Wild 'N Out, where he's clearly suggesting that they shoot an episode of Wild 'N Out in his city. But I think the idea is less to put his hood on the map as much as it is to highlight the kind of things that happen in the hood, where Wild 'N Out might fail to show that. And they also just kind of show what comes out of the hood. I think that Venus is kind of getting at that he doesn't believe Wild 'N Out like could get that, you know, Academy nominated shot unless they went there. And I think he's saying that they could get something like that by taking sounds from the hood, such as like an AK spraying in the night, something that could prove to be just as powerful as a typical monologue in theater or press or other, you know. So yeah, I think that's kind of what he was getting at in his first verse, and he's got another one coming up here shortly that we'll dive right into.
Cutthroat, rabbit's cold, I suppose. Maybe that's what life is.
So I know what most of you are thinking. What the fuck did he just say? It's over here, just in case you didn't get it. Most of the time when people hear these things, they hear it left and right or high and low, and I think that's the way it's meant. There's a lot of different ways that people have interpreted this verse, but I'll hit you with the one I've heard the most of and one that I kind of believe the most of. If you listen to kind of the highs and lows of the verse on their own, they almost form their own cohesive thoughts, thoughts that can almost be deemed as a double conscience or a double ego of sorts, battling with each other on what's good and bad, right and wrong, which after you get over the verse's like jarring uniqueness, you can really appreciate the fresh perspective Johnny Venus kind of gives on that battling ego or those alter egos, because this is not something new in hip hop. You know, we see it with guys like Kanye West and Tyler the Creator and Drake and literally everyone. So like I said, this is just another way that he brought something old with a fresh take to me. So I thought it was commendable. I thought it was a really unique way to bring out that alter ego.
Rabbit's toe, I suppose.
See a nigga all red from the north at the pole. It ain't Santa Claus, brought my gifts to Atlanta, I'm Atlanta Claus. I can smell you pussy with a panty so far. Been getting to the bread, trying to keep the shit low, but it ain't working, my circle on fire like a circus now. Around the same niggas I've been around, so of course I endorse my ratchet ass nigga from the north side. It's a steam team, got push side. Look a bitch, forget it, I do it all time. Of course I gotta push my opinion on the dash when you walk past.
Oh, bro, that shit groovy. Hey.
Niggas pull strings like a guitar, G-star jeans on my sneakers. I'm a real soulful nigga, collard greens inside your speakers. Ferguson days on Castro, wasn't no cash flow, but I'm good for the arts, I'm Dr. Shows. I'm good for your heart, let me snatch your soul.
Bloody sacrifice.
Okay. So I had to pause that one a little quicker than the others because they actually jump really quickly into Saba's verse here. But I really like this verse from Smino, and I can kind of break it into two halves because I really like it. And for as short as it feels, there's a lot to it. I say that because I didn't realize how much there was to it until I really dug into it. To begin, I love the reference to Santa Claus being an all red from Atlanta. Kind of the same with what we said about Johnny Venus and his take being a little different. I just felt like this was a little different take than we normally see. You know, we see the Santa Claus reference. We see the all red Atlanta reference all the time. This was just something that felt a little better, felt a little new. So like I said, it's just something that I felt like I could appreciate. And going a little further down to lines 7, 8, and 9, love the lines because it's one of the ones that I can relate to. Kind of going back to like the whole esports thing. You know, I feel like I've been with the same guys I've been with for years. And I feel like our circle's kind of on fire because we're kind of doing the things we've been wanting to do our whole lives. And it's a good feeling. It's a great feeling to have, you know, the same people around you that have been around you. It's a good feeling to feel like, you know, the people around you are on fire. And also, the next line is a play on astigmatism, and my best friend Josh has a glaucoma, so shout out Josh. Second half of the verse, the first line I want to hit is line 16. It's not really a hard one to break down, but it's just one that I kind of wanted to hit on to talk about Smino and how he views himself, and that is as full of soul as the collard greens that your grandma makes, which if you've had the collard greens that your grandma makes, you know the kind of soul he's talking about. So, like I said, I just wanted to throw that one in there because I know it's not something that's hard to see, but I felt like it spoke to who he is. And the next line is actually my favorite one. And one of those ones where I read it and I was like, damn, there's got to be more to that than what people are saying there is to it. And it is Ferguson days on Castro, what no cash flow. As you guys kind of know, Smino's from St. Louis, Missouri, which is actually very close to the suburb of Ferguson, Missouri, which is where the infamous killing of Mike Brown, who was on Smino's shirt in the video, happened. The reference meant by the line is to the city of Ferguson as much as it is to, I think, the St. Louis poet Michael Castro, who is a storied St. Louis native, best known for his work in St. Louis, but especially for addressing racial and socioeconomic divisions spotlighted by the Ferguson riots that took place as a result of the killing of Mike Brown. Well, I couldn't find anything to support it, outright. I'm willing to bet the second part of the line wasn't no cash flow, is in reference to how little social change poets make while being a driving force for that very social change they bring about. And I just kind of wanted to hit on that as a touch point because I think it's important when talking about, poetry and the things that poets do and don't get. So we can dive right into Saba's verse here.
Yeah, hey, look at what a motherfucker do for the cash and tape. They'll be right across your head like it's an Ash Wednesday. You got two, just get off your ass like your ass is fake.
Also, I can't
sit, and if we ain't siblings, then I can't relate.
Today's shit, I'm A-sick, I run shit. I got it jumping like pump fade. I don't need nothing but one take. I'm from the part of the city where young nigga keep 'em on like 1+8. Our politician a fuck fade. Corrupt like a dog pound gangster. We do it like a small town wager. I'm the dropout major. Success stories I favor. Used to cover my scars out here trying to cover the fader. Yeah, Pro Tools, Nas and the faders. Tell pigs, assalamu alaikum. You ain't bout static like AM radio. Ain't even playing. I put my heart in my all in my art. I'm alternate. All of them are the same. It's harder to tell them apart some days. I thought I'd call them out all together rather than waste the amount of bars it'll take for me to call them out by name. Caught a glimpse of the alternate world I've introduced to you via the studio. Got them studying our mixtape. I'm from the hood like my mama. Put that on my mama. I laid the law down like Parliament, all just with a pen and page. I make sacrifices.
All right, so longer, a little bit more personal verse from Saba. One that I think can be broken down into about 5 parts to be dissected, each with their own kind of mini theme. All right, gamers, sorry for that cut. And all of the time from now on, this will be a one-cut thing, but I've been working really hard on this one specifically. It's been like 3 or 4 days I've been working on this project. I'm really trying to get it out there, so I apologize for breaking it up, but I'm still going to dive into Saba's verse here. Like I was kind of saying, this is a lot more personal verse from Saba, one that I think can be broken down into about 5 parts, each with their own kind of mini theme. And I think we can just dive right into the first line where Saba immediately starts to talk about what people will do for money and how they'll constantly be on your head to slow you down and take things from you, all while keeping in mind that you can't forget to keep moving forward. And why you can't forget to keep moving forward, and while you're doing that, Saba's able to stay conscious of the idea that if you're not a part of what he considers to be his family, or in his inner circle, then he won't be able to relate to you or your mission. This is given to us in the first few lines of his verse. And then if we go down to the second section of his verse, he kind of takes us back to his hometown of Austin, Chicago, where he references being young and having to carry a gun around, corrupt politicians in the city, and also the West Coast rap duo, the Dog Pound, acknowledging rappers Diz Dillinger and Corrupt, which, if you look back to the beginning of line 7, was just a play on words to include the rap group in the first place. Going a little further into the verse, Saba kind of speaks on how he's dropped out of school, used music as a way to heal from his past, as well as a means for success. I'm referencing the fader in line 10. And soon after, Saba kind of calls out his opposition, giving us another taste of that with us or against us theme that Smino kind of touched on earlier. We're about to get into two J. Cole verses. We'll break the first one down right before the second one because the second one comes very quickly. We'll do that now.
Bloody sacrifice.
I love this verse. Love J. Cole.
You can't be everything to everybody. I wanna be your lover, your best friend, your Batman, Spider-Man. Fight to pilot, shooting out your rivals in. I wanna damn near kill you to be the one to heal you up. I wanna be the one to fill you up. On nights when you need good to cheer you up. I wanna be the one to build you up. A wall worth $5 billion to keep out the rah-rah and the blah blah blah. So nobody try to steal your thunder, pull you under, toss my hoes out, Royal Rumble. We done moved out to the boondocks, built a big house. There he wonders how and where. Along the way he went from Huey to Eddie Winsler. I've been so disconnected, my perspective is ignorant. When you rich niggas don't wanna correct you, say something crazy, they won't interject. Do every drug that you want, they gon' let you. Dangerous when there's nobody to check you. I be at to check myself. Nigga, stop hoarding that money. You know you got plenty. I be at to spread my wealth. I used to be at the crib myself. 7 years old off a Brad Boulevard where they bag of the raw. They gon' stand on the corner, one hand on their balls, and they ran when the cops come. There go the laws. And I packed up a bag and I tracked it up north on the path of a star. And I ran into you like I met you before. Now damn me and you going half on the boys sing.
Okay. Before he starts singing, he goes very quickly after that. So a couple disclaimers, kind of said at the beginning. I'm a Cole believer. This verse did nothing but solidify me as a Cole believer. I'm just a big Cole guy. I don't really have any reason for it. Guy just makes good music, says good things. I really appreciate him as a person, as an artist. In terms of what we get out of the verse, Cole kind of dives right into his relationship with his wife and his role in the world relative to where he stands as an artist. In the first set, Cole kind of acknowledges the idea that you can't be everybody's everything, no matter how hard you try. You can't be somebody's happiness, sadness, pain, guilt, whatever. You kind of got to find your place to be in those people's lives. And despite acknowledging that, Cole still clearly aims to be his wife's everything, from being her Batman or Spider-Man to being the person to being the person that hurts her, just so he can be the person that heals her. He even references Donald Trump's $5 billion wall proposal, offering the idea that he would go to such lengths to keep her from being bothered by the outside world, a sentiment echoed throughout the verse a couple times. And then if we move further into lines 9 through 16, Cole starts to speak on his transformation from rags to riches with line 11 and what that transformation can bring with it. He also references Boondock characters Huey Freeman and Ed Once-Clear, noting even further and exemplifying even further the transformation he's made thus far. Cole also kind of warns of being surrounded with yes men and the dangers of it, conveying that it can be dangerous when there's no one around you to check you and your decisions. Something that's not new from J. Cole or artists like J. Cole, such as like Kendrick Lamar. They've been pretty adamant about the fact that you need certain people around you to check you and kind of the things you're doing. Because if you don't, you'll just be kind of a guy on a rampage, which can only end badly in most cases. And we have seen it badly in hip hop in a lot of cases. So this is something that Cole is really adamant about, and he has been adamant in the past. So I'm glad he's still kind of on that train. The next point that Cole makes is one that I can relate to, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to. Cole kind of talks about in line 16 about individually amassed wealth, and how he doesn't kind of value that versus how he sees it being spread to kind of his people is the way I take that. With the idea being to raise the tides for everyone. You can only get yourself to a certain point before you look around and all your friends aren't there with you. So I think what he's saying is just that to keep in mind that it's not just about yourself. And this kind of speaks to that larger everybody eats theme that we saw with the whole project, with the whole album, with the documentary that came out with this. The idea is to uplift and compete, not tear down. And we see that a lot out of artists like J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, and even sometimes out of artists like Kanye West and Drake. He has, at the end of this verse, a piece that I think ties better into the second part, so I think I'll save it for after this. Get going on that.
Hugging the block all day. I had nowhere to go. She gave me a place to stay. She gave me a heart to hold. I still got that shit to this day. She riding with me on the road. She riding with me in the A. Hugging the block, okay. She gave me the gift of my son, and plus we got one on the way. She gave me a family to love, for that I can never repay. I'm crying while writing these words. The tears, they feel good on my face. Hey. And yesterday could feel just like a waste, yeah. If I don't love you, I'm supposed to.
Yeah, so again, like I said earlier, just a really heartfelt verse from J. Cole. Really talks about his relationship with his wife, opens up about it and becomes really vulnerable about it, which I think is something to be respected. On the back end of the verse, for Cole and into the second verse, we hear him kind of talk about the beginning of his relationship with his wife, Melissa, referencing Bragg Boulevard in line 18, which is a street that we know is very close to his childhood home in North Carolina. And he talks more about, how naturally their relationship came to be, ultimately resulting in their firstborn son. Cole also kind of speaks on his wife and how she's played an instrumental role in not only his career success, but their family success, and the love they share as a result of that. So again, I just think this is a verse that Cole should be commended for, because this is something that, aside from Chance the Rapper, I don't think we see very many rappers coming out and talking about. It's just the love they have for their wife and the gratefulness they have for the people who have been there from day one, which, again, is just a recurring theme in this song that we see a lot of. There's no more verses in the song, but there's a couple more images that I want to take you guys through before we kind of go over the overarching recap, so we can jump into that now.
And yesterday could feel just like a waste, yeah. If I don't love you, I'm supposed to. I make sacrifices.
This is one of them that I wanted to hit on. Something I want to hit on before we wrapped up, and there's a scene to come after this that will tie into it. Not even a scene so much as just an honoring. This woman appeared at the beginning of the video, and actually when I started this project, I couldn't find out who she was exactly, and it took me a pretty long time. Compared to most other things, it took me the longest time to find out who this lady was. But turns out she's actually Johnny Venus's mother, who's the guy who sang the first and second verse and also the chorus for the song. The video was actually dedicated to Johnny Venus's father, Milton Fan, which is actually shot. The whole video was actually shot on the 1-year anniversary of his death. So I just thought that's a cool thing just through and through. And I will also say that I don't think the inclusion of his mother was simple. I think this could have been any strong woman in Johnny Venus's life. But I think the mother ties more into the father thing. But the inclusion of a strong woman I don't think was simple. I think it was just to highlight exactly that, the sacrifices that women make as, women in general, but especially as mothers. Something that I've always talked about in my life is just, by the time they bury me 6 feet under, they'll definitely be able to say that I was built on and by a foundation set forth by strong women. So, whether it's, strong women in my life like Allie or Lindsay, or, people like my mom, Tammy or my Nana, I've always tried to value the tenacity women and especially moms have in life. So shout out women, shout out moms. We see y'all. Wrap it up here.
Bloody sacrifice.
And then I think they show the honoring here at the end. Yep. It's really good. Really good video, man. Really good project. And this was the last song on the regular version. It was great. What a great video. Let's recap. I'll go person by person. Johnny Venus, first verse, hard. Second verse, hard. Hook, melodic, and beautiful. Smino, like I said before, sort of short, felt even shorter, but it was a really good verse that if you listen to it as it was, it came in quick as quickly as you let it. Came and went as quickly as you let it. But like I said, one of those ones where if you really dug into it, you can really find a lot of good stuff in it. So I really appreciated it. And then as far as Saba's verse, it gave us a lot of insight into the ways that he thinks, and kind of what he feels about the rap game, how he feels about, growing up on the west side of Chicago, and his relationship with music. And last but not least, J. Cole's verse gave us a lens to view his relationship, how he views himself and his inner circle. I think we got some pop culture references as well as some to his hometown. So all in all, Sacrifices was a 10 out of 10 for me. A song that not only speaks on the journey of success, those who helped on the journey and the sacrifices made to get to that success, but also one that speaks of what is to come after and ways to stay on that path. Great song and great video. I can't wait to do another Dreamville song, album, project, whatever. But until then.